father gotta do? What?
It's your boy, Japanese Tutor, back at it again for the Stonewall Defense. You're gonna win. You're gonna win with all the Stonewall defenses. Welcome. Thank you so much for all the love. I've hit now 57 subscribers. Oh my Jesus, 57. 57. That's an amazing number to hit, actually. That's my favorite number. You know what's my favorite number? Other than 57? A million. So hit that subscribe button if you like the content. Get the notification bell. Hit the notification bell if you like what you see. Did you hear Dutch? You did hear Dutch, LA Design. We're in here. um, so let's switch right over to the bam. Now, one key thing, if you do want to get better at the Dutch and you have been watching the series, I urge you to please go to chessgames.com or any database and put in Stonewall Defense, or look at anything that has it F5, E6, D5, C6 structure, and look at the games in that one, because that's gonna make you a better chess player overall. Look at what other people have done. Okay, so we're gonna do game 7. We just went over game 6, which was against Kasparov versus Nigel Short. Okay, and let's just right into game 7. I think he gives us some exercise. No, he gives us game 7 first. All right, great. So we put this up here. Bada bing, bada boom. All right. So here we are. Here we are. So we're gonna switch the board. Of course, we're learning the Dutch from the black side, but this also helps you if you do not know or do not want to play the Dutch Stonewall. You know what to do against it. You know white's best try. In most cases, white is a little bit better, but if white messes up the plan or doesn't play concretely, then black ends up with an advantage with an attack with a lot of tactical ideas, which Stonewall is known to be kind of boring, solid, with no ideas. Okay, so we're gonna go right into this. This is game 7. It says Gligoric versus Tukmakov. It's Palma de Marioka in 1989. So it's gonna be D4 and F5. So I guess it's true Stonewall or the true Dutch. G3, and G3 is a little bit better than the C4 variation because you don't have to commit to it. Then he plays E6, Bishop G, Bishop G2, Knight F6, Knight F3, D5, castles, Bishop G6, C4. And remember, we only play C6 after they play C4, not before. C4 because sometimes in some lines that C pawn wants to go to C5. So wait till they push C4 when they're trying to ruin your structure, and then you play C6. B3, Bishop E7, A4, and then we play A5, not letting white get any territorial advances, and also, sorry, not like that, but the bishop holds the square and we're weakening b4. He just weakened b4 by the move a4 because now a pawn can never protect the square. Pawns do not go backwards. Okay, and in the text, this move has top priority even over castling. So this move is a priority. Must play this move. Bishop a3 captures, knight captures, castles. Again, an argument can be made for delaying castling, just in case white is planning a queen exchange. Indeed, Tukmakov did this b6 in another game in the same tournament. So he played the same opening, but he played, instead of a castling, he played b6. But okay, I mean it's not losing, but it's slightly a bit more flexible. Knight c2. This is white's most popular continuation. He prepares knight c to e1 and then to d3. And let me just make sure we got it correctly. Bam. And he prepares queen c1, possibly as preparation for queen a3, but also queen b2 and queen e3. Remember that sometimes this queen transfers over here. We saw this in some lines so that it can control the e5 square. Okay, so we play b6. And he said another high level game, continue rook d8, and then queen c1, b6, knight c1, knight bd7, d3, bishop a6, knight f to e5, knight captures e5, knight captures e5, rook a to c8, queen e3, and it's a little bit better for white, just a little bit. Okay, so let's go to b6, knight c to e1. The immediate queen c1, planning a3 or queen b2, has also been played, as said in the text. Bishop b7, knight d3, bishop a6. Oh, sorry, knight a6. Oops, queen c1. The queen is attracted to the squares b2 and a3. Remember that maybe they want a queen trade, or maybe they just wanted to go here to control this diagonal. So both ideas are okay. Okay. And we're going to go over queen c1. Okay, so c5. c5, queen b2. Again, we see the queen contributing to the fight for e5 from this somewhat exotic position. Knight e4. Oh, sorry, knight e4. Knight f to e5. Knight rook f to d8. So I see a lot of the positions where the rook comes here, this f rook comes here, and then this queen's rook comes here. So that might be a pattern that we might see in a lot of our games. So just keep an eye out for that, because sometimes it's hard to know which rook belongs where. And so we want to see those nuances as well. So rook f d8, e3, rook a c8. Black is very close to equality. Rook f to d1, knight b4, knight f4. Okay. D captures c4, b captures c4, rook d6, f3, kicking the knight away. Now the knight has to choose. He has two options, as these two are covered, and well, this one's covered. This is blocked and this is blocked, right? So we don't have any of these available, so we have to choose which one. And which one's better for me? Where does my knight belong? Maybe it belongs. I don't know. Maybe this is a plan, right? Get this good knight out of there, and then we can open up the e file. This is very hard to attack. Maybe after g5, but let's see. Knight f4. Decap. Wait. So knight f4, decap c4, rook d6, f3, knight f6. So he returns back. Rook d2. Rook c to d8. Rook a to d1. Okay. Fighting over the d line, and which is gonna open at some point because we're gonna exchange. Either I'm gonna exchange here or he's gonna exchange there. The position is unbalanced. White has some pawn weaknesses, but two nice knights. Therefore, black sets about to eliminate white's main strength. Knight d7. And here, he played h4. Interesting. Why does he play h4 here? This mainly weakens white's position after Knight f to d3. Knight captures on d3. Knight captures on d3. Bishop c6 attacking the pawn. Queen a3. Chances appear roughly equal. Although I do like white. I mean, I do like black a little bit here. Just because black might be the one in control of all of the exchanges. Maybe. So let's see what happens. Let's go back to the h4. So knight captures on e5. D captures on e5. Rook captures on d2. Rook captures on d2. Rook captures on d2. Queen captures on d2. Bishop c6, attacking the pawn. e4, breaking open the position. This and also in the text it said that bishop c6 kind of decides the game because how do you protect the pawn, right? You play here to protect this one pawn, and you have the queen side out to the defense. That's kind of sad, you know. Um, I'm pretty sure we can exploit that in another way. Maybe play here, or you know, seems kind of rough just to play like that for one pawn. Maybe king f7. It seems rough. Like let's say if here, what do we have? Yeah, I think maybe queen d7 might be good. I like king f7, just getting the king in, giving him a job. Yeah, it's tough for black after that. Okay, so let's see what happens. E4. Bishop captures a4. E captures f5. Queen d7. So you can take here, I think. Taking is fine, but maybe you just want to trade off and then finally, bam. Queen e1. And they say that no better is queen captures e7, takes, f captures e6, after which Tumakov no doubt would have found bishop captures e6. Whoa, ho, 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 ho. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. We can't even go to 3. Whoa, 1. You can't even go there. What? This is awesome. So let's look at that again. So queen captures d7, bishop captures g7, f captures e6, and he says, you know what? My queen's gonna my queen's gonna promote. My pawn's gonna promote, so I'm out of here. That's awesome. Okay, so let's go back to queen. Oh, so queen d7, and he played queen to d1, queen d1. Queen captures d1. I think I'm missing something. Oh no, so he played queen e1. Sorry, queen d7, queen e1, and then he played queen d1, trading off, and then the a pawn pretty much decides the game. F captures e6, a4, knight d5, a3, e7, king f7, bishop h3. Probably going here and here. Knight captures to d5, c captures d5, a2, d6, protecting the pawn. Also maybe threatening this in some cases, maybe threatening this followed by this. a1 equals queen, and resign. Wow, that was such an amazing moment. Let's go back to that. That was pretty much the deciding moment as said by the text. Like this one move, it seems very simple. Say, hey, look, let's attack a pawn. But this move is so strong. I mean, okay, first of all, this knight is a monster. Like that's an awesome piece right now. And just having this move where, the queen can't go here to protect the queen can't go here, it has to go here. And then we can play bishop d7. I mean, queen d7 and then trade off. That's awesome. That is amazing. Okay. And so the summary is the pawns on c6, d5, e6, f5, and I'm gonna just go there. These pawns, the pawns on c6, d5, e6, f5 may be the cornerstones of the Stonewall, but black should not hesitate to push them if a favorable opportunity arises. So don't be afraid to push your pawns just because they're in formation. Look at the position, say, hey, am I going to benefit from the extra space I'm going to get? Am I going to benefit from the extra territory that I'm going to be controlling, the extra squares? And if it's a plus for you, then push them. One of White's main plans against the Stonewall is to exchange dark square bishops and then control e5 by maneuvering his knight to f3 and d3. After 7 b3, Black cannot completely prevent White from exchanging dark square bishops with bishop a3 in this line, right? Oops, let's go back. Right? After b3, you know that the threat is obvious, right? And maybe you just want to play here. But so Black cannot completely prevent White from exchanging dark square bishops with bishop a3, but with queen e7 on the 7th move, he can ensure that White has to pay an extra tempo. He has to pay a fitting price in the form, of tempi. So against these lines, with an early b3, b6 is an appropriate antidote, which prepares not only the development of bishop b7, so we can go here, bishop b7. That's one of the lines where we play b6, bishop b7 if they play b3, or bishop a6, but only if the knight, I think, jumps to c3. That's the appropriate time. And also it controls the center break. So if you play b6, it controls the center break c5. Black shouldn't automatically castle at the first opportunity, as in some cases his king is better placed in the center. Black may, in certain lines, take the initiative on the queen side by playing b5, in particular if white's pieces are passively placed. So if they don't know what they're doing and they're just playing passive moves, you go in and strike with the b5. Say, hey, I don't got to attack on the king side. I can attack on the queen side. Stop your queen side play. Now I'm going to go back on the king side. Now they have to shift all their pieces over. Once they shift all their pieces over, you can say, hey, I'm good on the king side. Now let's go back to the queen side. And a person who played like that was Anatoly Karpov. He just said, hey, look, I'm going to make 1,000 weaknesses. You're not going to have any play, and then I'm going to win. That's the way he played. So in general, it is a good idea to meet the a4 advance with a5 in order to prevent them playing a5 and b4 and attacking your queen side. So for those of you who would like to learn some more systematic and detailed study material, feel free to look at the theory sections. Okay, those are good enough. So we're going to look at some theory sections. I do want to do the exercises in the book that they have here. Let's see. But yeah, okay. But I do want to get into the second lesson. So the exercises can be done at a separate time. I'm going to go over just the lessons in this series. General anxiety. I play this almost exclusively against d4. Do you know Chessable? I've heard of it. I think it's a database if I'm not mistaken. Um, Jimmy735 not available. 140% of the goal. Yeah, I'm so glad that everybody's hitting that follow button on Twitch. I will. Thank you, General Anxiety. And if you have anything to add or you have any questions, please either let us know or ask. I might have the same questions or the viewers might have the same question, and you'll help us all out because you'll understand it better and then we'll understand it better. Okay, so this is lesson two, the critical 7, b3, queen e7, and then knight e5. The shrewd guess and the fertile hypothesis, the courageous leap to the tentative conclusion are the most valuable coins of a thinker at work. But in most schools, guessing is heavily penalized and is associated somehow with laziness. This is a quote by Jerome Bruner. Uh, 95, and I'll just go in general anxiety. There's a great Carlson game where he plays it Dutch against Nakamura, I think. There are a few games that Carlson has played both sides actually, played the white side and played the black side. I think he just played one against Caruana where he won it with the white pieces. So that was a pretty instructive game as well. After we go over this, all of these lessons, we're gonna go into some famous chess games from some recent grandmasters, and then say, hey, what's the theory right now? Maybe this book is out of date, and then we're gonna learn how to build on our theory that we already know. So you should always do your own research when, especially when playing tournament chess. Get the lines and just put them into practice. See what the top people are playing. They already did their homework, right? They don't want to lose tournaments. They don't willingly go into tournaments saying, "Hey, I'm gonna lose." So take whatever they have done and all the work and just, I'm sorry to put it like this, but copy it. If it works for them, it works for me. Like whenever I see Bobby Fischer's moves, it's like, hey, if it works for Bobby, it's good enough for me. You're new to Twitch. Do you stream every day? I try to be on as frequently as possible. And welcome to Twitch. Twitch is an amazing platform to stream from. It gives the opportunity for people like me to connect with people like you, and you guys make the stream great. I think you've already followed me. I think you've already followed. Um, Thank you for following. But pretty much every day. So just whisper me if you need anything else. Let's see. Bam. So we're gonna go into the eighth move, 95. 95 is considered white's best try for an advantage, and shall see that black having a considerably tougher time than in lesson one. Again, the emphasis will be on understanding, but in certain lines, black must play quite precisely to avoid being overrun. So this is where we kind of have to pay attention. And for those of you on YouTube, you have the luxury of just putting something back and rewatching it again. So I strongly advise you to do so. If you do not understand something, or maybe just want to look at it again, make sure that you have it understood, or you understand it completely. Um, that's one of the best techniques to do so. Just watch it over, make sure you got it. Watch it over, make sure you have it. Don't look at it for a month. Watch it over again. Okay, I remember this, and I know exactly what this person is saying. And that's when true understanding comes, because you play it on the board, you watch the videos, it's in your head, and it just becomes knowledge instead of something that you are trying to remember. So d4, f5, knight f3, knight f6. Okay, and also general anxiety. These are my links uh, to my YouTube and to my Instagram. So my YouTube has all the lessons, and my Instagram has a whole bunch of chess tactics that I put up every day. So follow on those if you want to also stay in contact with me. Knight f3, knight f6, g3, e6, bishop g2, d5, castles, bishop g6, and we know that we don't play c6 until they play c4, but we play c6 now. b3, queen e7, now knight e5. Okay, so the critical line goes for castle. If black delays castling with b6, their c captures d5. This is actually interesting. If we play b6 here, c captures d5, c captures d5, and knight c4. Ouch. I mean, it's not that bad, but it's like now it allows probably development and stuff. Whoa. And now if okay, so let's say we play e captures d5. Whoa. What just happened? BK Champ loses rating with a party of 5. Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much for a rating. And you hosted. Awesome. So guys, welcome to the stream. Right now we're doing a lesson. We're in the middle of a lesson. We're going over the Stonewall Dutch. It's an opening for black. Thank you for the shout out, Command Alade. And they said if you play the E captures, you can play Bishop B. Oh, sorry. If you play E captures, then Bishop B2, Bishop B7, and it just looks kind of rough because now they have complete control over this square, which is what we wanted to control. So very interesting. So you have to really avoid getting trampled over here. Okay, so the critical line is castles. Bishop B2. And now we play B6. And they say that as a backup system, they suggest knight B to D7 instead, um, followed by A5. Okay, so B6 in this situation, and then C captures D5 with an exclamation point. E captures D5, exclamation point. And they said that you should, in this situation, you should avoid capturing with the C pawn. And we're going to look at that later. So Queen C2, Bishop captures E5, D captures E5, and then knight E4. Now black seems to be doing fine in the main variation after knight D2 and Bishop A3. Okay. So let's go look at some ideas that some other players have used against it and for it. So against the stone wall and actually for the stone wall. Hello, 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 everybody. All right, so let's go back. All right, so D4, F5. And in the book it said that you shouldn't play F5 immediately. And I kind of agree with them because F5 just tells them, hey, we're going to go play a Dutch. I like to be flexible with my openings, and I think E6 is definitely the flexible thing that I want to do. And if they do play E4, then we can play C5 and just play a Sicilian. And in some cases, we might even get a Benoni. So, very, very interesting idea. And a lot can happen with just 2 moves, and the structure and the ideas change with every move. But okay, I digress. So D4, F5, knight F3, knight F6, G3, E6, Bishop G2, D5, castles, Bishop D6, C4, C6, B3, Queen E7, Knight to E5. Superficially, this may seem just another way to bring knights to D3 and F3, establishing iron control over the E5 square, and in certain lines, that is indeed what white will do. However, white's main idea is more concrete. Primarily, he clears the diagonal H1 to A8 and makes it harder for black to develop with B6. Question. What was I think it's a type of what will white achieve by playing B3 if not to exchange the dark square bishops? Interesting. Could he just have played knight e5 immediately on move 7 instead of playing b3? So he's saying, and I'll put it back. That's a very good question, actually. Instead of that, why does he just play knight e5 immediately? So knight e5 is quite a good move, but it has a concrete drawback. And they're going to go into that in lesson 3 in the main line of a particular variation where playing b3 would be a useful move for white, while queen e7 would be a pure tempo loss. All right, as the queen quickly hurries to h4 in order to create threats on the king side. However, it may at this point be worthwhile to discuss the inclusion of two moves, b3 and queen e7, in a more general context. In general, queen e7 is quite a useful developing move, but it also has some minor drawbacks. All right. In a few specific lines, white can make use of the unprotected c8 bishop. After castles, in a few lines, bishop c7 or bishop e captures e5 would have been a useful move if it hadn't been for bishop a3 skewering the queen and the f8 rook. Similarly, b3 is also useful as it prepares the development of white star square bishop. So basically is what he's saying is b3 is a good move beforehand just to solidify things. Play here to protect this because sometimes if you play b6 in here, I skewer the queen and the rook, right? So that's an idea. Also, we allow the bishop to get onto the long diagonal, okay? And the queen's diagonal d1 to a4 is shortened, so queen b3 and queen a4 aren't options anymore. And the c3 square is somewhat weakened by the move b3. Okay, fair enough. Possibly making knight e4 a more annoying move when we play it. Black's plan of a5 may be more annoying when the further a4 threatens to open up the a file on black's terms because you play b3. Okay. And if black plays a5 followed by knight a6 and white meets the a3 to cover b4, like let's say like something like this, and not maybe not in this position, but and you can play a3 to cover b4. The a3 pawn will be vulnerable to black's bishop and queen lined up on d6 and e7. So let's say it's like this. Now we have a battery here, and he has to be kind of careful how he develops his pieces. This will make it harder for white to activate his a1 rook. Okay, very interesting. So let's go back to the main line that we were going to with knight to e5. Knight to e5. I'll move 8. And then he played b6. Okay, so let's keep going. This move must be considered slightly suspicious. Castling is more concrete and flexible. Well, this is really interesting because before b6, castling was the thing you should worry about, and now b6 was a more flexible move. So if they play the immediate knight e5 instead of playing like bishop b2 or a4, we should consider castling, right? Castling is the more concrete move and is a more flexible move, and I'm all for flexibility. Uh, Now, if they play bishop b2 and let's say they play bishop b2 instead, now maybe b6 makes a little bit more sense because maybe here and now bishop b7 and now uh, it's flexible. So this is very interesting. Very, very interesting. Okay. So 95, b6. And they have a question in here, but wouldn't that allow white to return plans with bishop a3 and where's black's king better placed in the center? Well, as you shall soon see, compared to the lines we are examining in this lesson, the prospect of endgames like the ones we saw in the previous lesson is quite tempting, irrespective of whether Black's king remains in the center or is committed to the king side. If you insist on keeping your king flexible, knight bd7 is probably a fully playable alternative. Unfortunately, it limits Black's options, considering that bishop d7 is then impossible and b6 is more or less out of the question with c6 unprotected. Wow. So if you play like knight here, then maybe knight here to stay flexible, then b6 out of the question because now they can always take. So that's unfortunate. Okay. Okay. Um, Yet, the move isn't just an attempt to keep the king centralized. Black may also try to accelerate his queenside play with a quick a5, a4. However, the natural bishop b2, Black has anything better than, or he doesn't have anything better than castles, really. Transposing into the other line where we castle on move 8, bishop b2, knight bd7. We can play a5 here, but that looks a little bit messy. And the greedy bishop captures e5. Let's say after bishop b2. The greedy bishop captures e5. D captures e5. Knight g4 cannot be recommended because c captures e5. Okay, so this knight g5. C captures d5. E captures e5. Queen d3. Knight d captures. Oh, I guess a knight is on d7 instead, and this is played over here. But it said that white has an advantage in this line, so don't play this line. Okay, so let's go back to b6. Knight 5, b6. So in this line, they say that c captures d5 is the best move. White should only relieve the central tension if, like this, if there's anything tangible to be achieved. So as white, we can play this kind of setup, trying to trick black, right? If they're playing the Stonewall, so try to look out for this. And if they play like this, then we have this bishop here, and it looks pretty good for us. So let's say c captures on d5. Now, it's tempting to free c6 for the undeveloped knight, but e captures d5 is a better attempt to keep white's edge at a minimum. We shall return to that option in a later game. Okay, so you're gonna play knight c4, knight c4, and this demonstrates the main idea behind 895. White exploits the pin on this diagonal because the pawn cannot take because you're gonna take the rook, and removes Black's defender of the weakened dark squares. Sorry guys, just give me a second. Okay, we get c captures d5, c captures d5, knight c4. Knight c4, and again, sorry, knight c6. This is a natural follow to the recapture with the c pawn. But I wonder why not play bishop c5 here? Am I missing something? Why not play bishop c7, I mean? Why not bishop c7? Maybe knight c3 is just too much, right? Huh. This is tough. This is tough. Okay. Let's see what they say about that. So knight c4. Um, bishop e2. Okay. So let's just follow up with knight c6. Captures, queen captures, and bishop a3. Wow. that's great, bishop. Look at that. This is a really nice edge for white. I would love white because the plans are just clear. Um, so knight b4, knight d2, developing his last piece. Knight e4 question mark exclamation, which means it's a little bit dubious. Up to this point, black's position has been passive, but fairly solid. Now white is allowed to break the position open with tactical advantages of black's weak dark squares. You can even castle. Black should castle on his 13th move. But it's worth noting that white can, for the second time, make use of the H1 A8 diagonal and improve his position with knight c4. So look at this, guys. Boom, and they can play knight c4 again. And then we can take it. It's hilarious. This is horrible. Okay, so we're gonna play knight e4. Knight captures e4. D captures e4. F3. E captures f3. Bishop captures f3. Rook b8. Bishop c1. Wow. The bishop is heading for a more useful diagonal. Which I wonder which one. Maybe this one, right? Because now that's kind of mean right there. Rook b7. I think black is just getting destroyed here. Black offers an exchange to get rid of white's powerful bishop pair. Knight d5 is somewhat better. Uh, so let's go over knight d5. e4. F captures e4. Bishop captures e4. And the black king is stuck in the center because of the rook. Wow, and then this bishop is not that great. Interesting. So that's how we tackle that. So let's say he plays rook b7. Now bishop f4, activating the bishop. Now we want to take this, right? But we always want an intermezzo. We want to develop our pieces with tempo. You always want to look for that kind of stuff. Bam. And then rook c1. We can always take this, right? This is always ours, right? So we don't have to rush to take it. Let's just improve our pieces because they're trying to trade off so they can exchange all of your threats. So you have no more threats and they can have an easier time playing. Always look for good moves that develop your pieces first. If, like, let's say if you have a free piece and it can't move anywhere, you don't have to take it immediately. Better your position, and then when they try to alleviate the pressure or try to escape with the piece, then you can take it. So bishop f4, queen d7, rook c1, knight c5? Question mark. Bishop captures d5. E captures d5. Rook f3. Whoa. This nice maneuver actually wins the bishop on c8. Queen d8. Bishop g5. This is tough. Queen d7. Forced. But now that the bishop, whoa, something just happened. Ray, thank you for hosting. Thank you so much for hosting, Ray. And Ray said it's like the Dutch chocolate but with walls. Nice sub icon. Thank you, thank you. And we're almost done here. Rook fc3. Castles. Bishop f4. Rook d8. Queen c2. Making a battery all along here. So we have 1, 2, 3 attackers. We have 1, 2 defenders. Wow, that's awesome. I want to go over maybe why did so what can black do to try to prevent stuff? Can we castle? Is castling possible? Rook fc3. This bishop still can't move. do we play here? What do we play? Rook c6. Now here, and then maybe Queen c2 again. What? That's insane. That's awesome. It's a great move. Wow. So guys, there you have it. The latest installment into the end game. I'm sorry, not the end game. The Dutch, Stonewall Dutch. We're going into an end game. Hope you like it. If you have any questions, leave the comments down below. Make sure that you hit the subscribe and the notification bell. It lets me know that you want to get better at chess. And I think everybody wants to get better at chess. Again, this is Japanese Tutor. Thank you so much for everything.